to be together. How good it is, how sweet it is, how good it is for us to be together.
Welcome, everyone. As we approach the end of Friday, the end of the work week, we get to welcome in Shabbat. We get to welcome in our day of rest. And this Shabbat, as we do many Shabbatot, we get to celebrate a bar mitzvah. We get to welcome an adult into the Jewish community. And we get to welcome and celebrate with Isaac Duller and his family this Shabbat. And we're so thrilled to have all of you here with us for this weekend. And we mark the beginning of Shabbat with the lighting of candles. That marks the beginning of this sacred time. So Isaac, I'm going to invite you and your parents to come on up to the bima. Melissa and Jim, come on up as we welcome in Shabbat together. I invite everyone to please rise.
One more time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Isaac.
Isaac's going to stay with us up on the bima as he leads us in Kabbalat Shabbat. You may be seated. Kabbalat Shabbat is a collection of psalms and songs the mystics of the 16th century, 1600s encouraged us to use on Friday afternoon. So let's pick up the Sidurim, the smaller of the two books. We turn to page 11. Let us go and sing to God. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, we greet God as we raise our voice in song. The top of the page, Lechu Neranena.
Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Litzori, Sheni Nekadma Fana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Litzori, Shenu, Bismirot, Naria, love. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai. Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Lechu Neranena, Ladonai.
Turn to page 14. In the middle of the page, Yismechu Hashemayim, the heavens shall be glad and the earth rejoice.
Yismechu Hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu Hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umlo'o. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umlo'o. Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz.
Continue on page 20, the final three lines of the page with the red arrow, Roman.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishachavu lehar kodsho.
Turn to page 23. We welcome the Shabbat Kala, the Shabbat bride, with the words of Lecha Dodi. Isaac will lead us in the first two stanzas on the page, and then we turn to the final stanza, Boi v'shalom, come in peace. And when we reach that final stanza, the tradition is to rise and to face the door of the congregation. Page 23, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmiyanu el hameichad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litchila la 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 lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habaracha, merash mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavati la 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 lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret balach, gam b'simcha u'v'tohala, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, la 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 lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela.
May be seated. Shkoach to Isaac for getting us started. Turn to page 27. The words of Psalm 92. It is good to thank you, O God, to sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. At the top of the page, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat.
La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ozamer l'shimcha elyon. U'lizamer l'shimcha elyon. l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ozamer l'shimcha elyon. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tzadik tamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon yizke shetulim beveit Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu odiruvu mesevad shenim v'rananim yehu lehagid ki ashar Adonai tzuri velo havlatabo.
Page 29.
Adonai malaki ulavesh, lavesh Adonai osi tazar, afti konte verbaletimo. Mikolot mayim rabim, adirim mishmeregam, adir bamarom Adonai. Erotecha nemnu melvetcha navakodesh, Adonai leorech yamin.
Each Shabbat, we have the tradition of sharing the ancient words of Berkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing from the book of Numbers, one of the oldest examples of Jewish prayer. And at home, the tradition is to share it with our children and with our family members. We use this blessing on special occasions. As part of Shabbat services, we share it with the people around us, the members of our community. So I'm going to invite everyone to please rise and look around you. Say Shabbat Shalom. Say hello to the people sitting around you haven't greeted yet. And feel free to put your arms around the person next to you as we join together in sharing the words of the priestly blessing.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. Ken yehi ratzon.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Ken yehi ratzon.
May God lift up God's face to you, and may God be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon.
God grant you shalom, grant you peace, ken yehi ratzon. May be seated. Turn to Shabbat, the prayer for healing, as we think of the people who could use a little bit of extra strength this Shabbat, people in need of healing physically or spiritually. If you'd like to include someone in this prayer for healing, I invite you to rise in your place and to share the names of the people you're praying for when I come to you. At Kol HaCholim and all those who are ill, we join together in a prayer for healing.
Melach Avotenu, Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Turn to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 30. This week we observe the Yortzites of Hugo Rosenberger, Irving Bienstock, Milton Robert Olshan, Milton Shoemaker, Morris Kaufman, E. Jerry Fisher, Michael Javaris, Rebecca Kirschbaum, Ruth Scharf, Stuart Kornstein, Terry Wayne Aaron, Rebecca Starrer, Roberta Farb Kapaloff, Francine Poncher, Julie Johan, Stephen Berger, Phoebe Hall, Brad Gray, Celia Heskins, Dora Gleiberman, Dorothy Polyakoff, Judy Sutker, Melvin Berman, Sally Albertson, Sarah Clears, Bella C. Herman Berger, Bernard Bernhardt, Boris Wanowich, Doris Zippel, Earl Gerber, Ida Greenberg Blitzer, Jacob Fishman, Sophia Jacobson, Anna Glassman, Carol Shares, Hyman Frank, Hyman Perlowitz, Simon Edward Langman, Benjamin David Silverstein, Clara Klein Waga, Doris Williams, Gerald Crystal, Joan Goldsmith, Leah Suzanne Davis, Nadezhda Ivanova Guzakova, and Pearl Bregman. We also mark the recent passings of Harold Shapiro, Melvin Siegel, and Jerome Moskowitz. And as one of the first names I mentioned on there, of course, Irving Bienstock of blessed memory. His Yortzeit started last night and concluded at Kabbalat Shabbat, really, as the last Mourner's Kaddish for his first Yortzeit. And Irving, as many of you know, was a congregant here for decades, a Holocaust survivor and a World War II veteran, and an incredible educator, an incredible person in so many ways. And it's really been beautiful to see various members of the congregation take on the responsibility of reciting Mourner's Kaddish for Irving over the last year. Really beautiful to see people standing up to remember him at Minyan, in the chapel where he spent so much time, and in here, this place where he had so many friends and spent so much of his life. And in my message to the congregation earlier today, I shared a little bit about the city that he came from, Dortmund, Germany. That was so much a part of the story that he shared. He shared a picture of that beautiful synagogue that he saw burning on Kristallnacht, that was part of his story of being in that synagogue as a child and seeing it destroyed by the Nazis. And Irving was very much a symbol of resilience. When you go through what he did and are able to rebuild a new life here in America and live as much of a life as he did, you can't help but be a symbol of resilience. But I thought it was so interesting to learn a little bit more about Dortmund. And I read different numbers, but I read that before the Holocaust, there were anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 Jewish people in Dortmund. And that synagogue was huge. It could seat 1,300 people in the sanctuary. It was really beautiful. And of course, that community was mostly wiped out by the Nazis. But there's a synagogue in Dortmund that's been rebuilt since the war. I believe it was built in the 50s, not to that scale and not as beautiful. But I learned that there are about 3,000 Jewish people in Dortmund today, which is absolutely fascinating, that it's, again, a Jewish community of similar size to what it was before the war. And most of those people are not people who were there before the war, or the descendants of German Jews, as we call them, Yekis, is the term for German Jews. But many of them are people who left the former Soviet Union, Russian Jews of some sort, who left and resettled in Germany. And it's been interesting to see that that's one of the stories of the German Jewish community, such as it is right now, that it's been reinvigorated by Jews from the former Soviet Union who moved from there, from one terrible place, and ironically found a place to live in Germany for all its strengths and weaknesses right now. But just like Irving is a symbol of resilience for us, it's beautiful to see that his community, that community of Dortmund where he grew up, has a second part to the story, has another part to the story, and continues to be a place where Jews can pray and where Jews are raising families and living Jewish lives. And that's something that cannot take for granted. Is an incredibly impressive, just little known fact of Jewish life today. So with this mourner's Kaddish, we mark the end of Irving's Yortzeit, and we honor him together with all of the other people who we mentioned just now. May all of their memories be for a blessing. Invite those in mourning or marking a Yortzeit to rise and join me in the words of the mourner's Kaddish on page 30. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalmad divera kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lomei omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekusha, brihu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'alma v'imru, amen, yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen, oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May be seated. Good Shabbos. I'll talk again. How many of you have ever tried to wake up in the morning and hit the snooze button on your alarm? Okay, so you answer my next question. How many of you hit it a second time? How many of you hit it a third time after that? How many of you keep hitting it until you realize that you've missed something that you were supposed to be at? It happens. So I actually have never used the snooze button on my alarm, and used to be pretty good at getting up, but that's gotten a little challenging of late. And a couple of months ago, I started what I'm told is a very bad habit. While the rest of my family was waking up already, I would stay in bed a little bit longer in the morning and try to sleep a little bit longer. And the thing is that if I slept a little bit longer, I wouldn't make it down to breakfast while the kids were still there. And there are 4 of us in our family, and each one of us kind of has our own idea of what constitutes a good breakfast. So I would come down when they were almost finishing their breakfast and get to work on mine, and they were trying to leave for school, and it was just chaotic. Until my wife noticed this habit I was getting in and politely told me that this is not a good habit to get in. Wake up. And come down and be part of the family. And she was very much right to say that, because it makes a big difference to deliberately get up, to be sitting around the table, and to start the day with the family sitting together for breakfast, to have that time that is, when we're all a little bit more relaxed in the morning, perhaps still in pajamas, before getting ready to go into the day, and to have that time together and realize that it's led to a better day for me and to everybody else in the family, to have that as a sense of sacred time. I think about that as turn to Parshat Emor, our Torah reading for tomorrow. Parshat Emor is a familiar parsha because we actually read it on a few of the holidays. We chant this Torah portion on Sukkot and on Pesach, 2 of the Chagim, 2 of the festivals. And we chant it on these days because Parshat Emor has one of the calendars of sacred occasions, one of the lists of holidays that took place in ancient Israel. And normally when we talk about a holiday in Hebrew, we call it a chag. We call it a festival, like we say on Pesach or Sukkot. We say Chag Sameach, happy holiday, or Chag Chanukah Sameach, not in the Torah, but we say happy Hanukkah, Chag. But in Emor, it doesn't use the word Chag to describe each of the holidays. Starting with Shabbat and going through the pilgrimage festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, it instead uses the word Moed. And Moed is a word that means not holiday, but time, but set time, specific time. And the holidays are called Moadim, not just Chagim. They're called Moadim because they take place at a certain time. They start on the 15th day of the 7th month, or whatever it is, at sundown, and they go until sundown on the 25th day of the 8th month, whatever, long holiday. We have a lot of long holidays. But they all have beginnings and endings that we consider to be sacred times, consider to be times that are different than everything else. Shabbat is an example of a moed. Shabbat is an example of a sacred time that starts 18 minutes before sundown and ends when the stars come out tomorrow, marking the end with Havdalah. But there's an incredible teaching about the Moadim on Parshat Emor, because God is talking to the Israelites. God is talking to the Jewish people who just came out of Egypt, who never had control over their own time. Told exactly what to do by their Egyptian taskmasters. They never get to rest. They never get to decide when to work. They have to do what they're told. They have no idea that one day or one time is any different than any other time. So the first gift that God gives the Jewish people is control over their calendar, control over their time. God says to them, it's up to you to declare when these holidays are. I'm going to tell you the dates that they fall, but you have control over the calendar that allows them to come at the right time. And that's how holidays came about in ancient Israel. The Jews would look up in the sky, look up for the new moon, and learn when to start a new month. And the beginning of that new month would tell you when the holiday was going to be. So if they didn't announce a new month, if they didn't declare a new month, they could never start the holiday. They had to have a ritual that marked it as sacred time. I want to take that forward because each holiday that we have today is only sacred if we choose to declare it a holiday, to have a specific ritual that we do at a set time that makes that time different from everything else. Passover is only Passover if we have a Seder on it, if we gather together and drink 4 cups of wine and retell the story and eat matzah and sing the songs and do all that stuff. Sukkot is only a sacred time if we choose to go out of our homes and go into the sukkah and take the lulav and etrog. It's our actions that actually make it into a sacred time, choosing to do those things at the right time. Now, I want to take that idea back to what I said about breakfast with my family, because we have sacred times in all parts of our life. Judaism is one major part of our life, and we know the idea of sacred times take place throughout the year. But we have sacred times with each of the people in our lives as well, whether they are family or whether they are friends. And those sacred times are important for cultivating those relationships, for growing new relationships, for keeping them strong over many years. If you don't have those sacred times with the people you care about, they won't be the people that you care about for very long. And to have a sacred time, you need those set rituals. Those times that you know are sacred, when you're going to be face-to-face, or if it's far away on Zoom with this particular person, and this is what you're going to do in that time, and that's how you stay in contact, that's how you keep that relationship going. So for me, I realize that sitting across the table from my wife and kids in the morning and breakfast may not be like Passover, but it is a form of a moed, of a set time that helps us get the day started properly. So every day of the week and every day of the year, we have a chance to look at the people around us or our faith and our relationship with God and say, what are those sacred times? And they're not going to be sacred on their own. They're only sacred if, as the rabbis say on Parshat Emor, you declare them to be sacred. You make a deliberate choice to do something that marks this time as a moed, as a set time, apart from every other time. Shabbat Shalom. Continue with the Mariv, the evening service, page 39. Please rise. our God, creator of the universe, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from before the light.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ומביא לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים. תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבי.
Amen. Page
אהבת
40.
עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת את הארץ. יהם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגר מעם בלילה, בבטך תשים ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם. בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue on page 42.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
43. And Moses, Miriam, and the people of Israel joyfully sang this song to you, Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, top of page 44.
מלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם. Let's join together. מיכה מוחה. מיכה מוחה באלים אדוני, מיכה מוחה נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלף. מיכה מוחה באלים אדוני, מיכה מוחה נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלף. אחותך ראו בניך, ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלף. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, Yisrael.
Allow us, our God, to sleep peacefully and awaken us again to life. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us. Blessed are you who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Page 45, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Leshalom, Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Leshalom, Leshalom, V'ha'amidenu, Malkeinu, L'chaim, L'chaim, Ufros aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha, Shlomecha. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down, 'cause when negativity surrounds, I know someday it will all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Leshalom, V'ha'amidenu, Malkeinu, L'chaim. Hashkivenu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Leshalom, V'ha'amidenu, Malkeinu, L'chaim. Ushmor tzitenu vo'enu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata v'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha baruch ata Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. Page 46, please rise.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת
לדורותם ברית עולם.
איש ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת
לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, Shabbat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו
בני ישראל
את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה ועמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמין יהי שמרם מבורך לעולם לא מעומיה יתברך וישתבח ויבר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמרי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה וימרו אמן.
Spend the next few moments in silent prayer with the words of the Amidah, beginning on page 47.
Now you may be seated. Grant abundant and lasting peace to your people Israel and all who dwell on earth. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Yatahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Yatahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה
continue on page 54 with Kaddish Shalem.
יתקרא ויקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי במלכותי בחייכון ובמלכון ובחייכון בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך,
לעולם ולעולמיה יתברך. יתברך וישבח ויבר ותרומה וינשא ויתעזר ויצלח ויצלח שמי קודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותנו ואותנו זוכי ישראל קדם אבוהנו וישמעי ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב מן שמעי וחיים אלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Isaac, we're going to call you back to the bima for Kiddush. Invite everyone to please rise. Any kids who'd like to join us for Kiddush, come on up and join me and grab a cup of grape juice. Page 55.
Just wait a moment until I get really close to the mic and be really loud. It helps the kids. Whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho be'ahava uvratzon chinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehilat lemikrayim kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta Beotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodechecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen.
Thank you, Isaac. Mercy.
L'chaim.
Continue with Aleinu, page 56.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ ומשה ויקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו העליון מלכינו בסגולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Turn to the mourner's Kaddish on page 58. We ask God, grant that the memories of those who have gone before us be a source of strength for us and for everyone of the house of Israel. That the souls of our departed find peace in your sheltering care. May we all be blessed with peace, tranquility, and the fullness of life. 58, I invite those in mourning or marking a yard site to join me in the words of the Kaddish. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, shemei rabbah, v'yalmad divera kirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon, u'byomechon, u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala, u'bizman kariv, v'yimru, amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevorach leolam u'lameo maya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnasei, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yit'halal, shemei d'kudsha, b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'yalma v'yimru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Seh shalom b'mromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. May be seated. Representing the Temple Israel Board of Trustees, call on Joseph and Asher Spill.
You can go whatever you want. Both are on.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Hope y'all are having a great week. Isaac, you did a great job tonight. So excited for your weekend. So honored to share with you in Temple Israel, and so honored to have all your family here, the Duller family. And just good luck tomorrow, and just cherish the whole weekend because it goes by so fast, and then you're, 40 something. Yeah. But you're Mazel Tov on the great weekend, and thank you all for sponsoring Kiddush tomorrow as well. Rabbi, awesome service. Thank you so much. I think we've got a new way to get people to come to Shabbat. Asher mentioned to me, he goes, Dad, love Rabbi's beard. And I said, yeah. I said, a lot of rabbis between Passover and Shavuot, they don't shave. And he goes, oh, we better come back next week and see what it looks like. So there's a good way to get us to come back. And Cantor, I learned that you were given a rap name in Sunday school, Little Shira. During the Hatzi Kaddish tonight, I learned that you go so fast that you'd be a great rapper. Is what Asher said. So yes. Then we've got some serious announcements. So coming up, mark your calendars for these upcoming events. Don't forget to get your tickets for our annual gala. I believe there's only a few left. That's going to be on May 17th, 2 weeks from Sunday at 6 o'clock. There are also some sponsorship opportunities available as well if anybody's interested in sponsoring it. And we've got our guests of honor here tonight, Barry and Karen. Thank y'all so much for everything you've done for the temple, and we're so excited to share it with you guys. Cocktails, food, dancing, music, it's gonna be really fun. So thank you guys so much for sponsoring that as well. And then on Friday, May 8th, next Shabbat, Wodi will be leading services and hosting a traditional Shabbat congregational dinner. Weather permitting, the service will be held outdoors in our beautiful amphitheater. We hope all of you will join us. Registration is required for the dinner, but not for if you're just coming for services. So RSVP on the website if you're coming for dinner. And then join Kanarush Farg for a Torah reading class on May 5th and May 11th after the 7 p.m. minyan. Learn to read Torah and connect with this ancient tradition. No experience needed beyond basic Hebrew reading skills. Join us for Tikkun Le'il Shavuot on May the 21st as we celebrate the giving of the Torah through an evening of learning and community. Come be part of this meaningful tradition of study and connection as we mark this special holiday together. And attention, youth and families, come celebrate Tat Shavuot on May the 22nd at 9:30 a.m. and then join us for our TIRS open house on May the 28th at 5:30. And then last one here, join us for the following youth and family. For more information, register for any of these events, please visit our website. And again, thank you for the Dollar family for sponsoring the weekend. Mazel tov to you all. And thank you to the Roots and Ruach Kavurah Circle for enhancing and beautifying our courtyard. Your efforts have made our shared space even more welcoming for our community. And thank you for everyone who attended the security training last night. Thank you all so much for coming, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, Joseph. If you want to learn more about the custom he said of growing a beard between Passover and Shavuot, come to my Torah study this Thursday. where we're talking about Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer. The Omer Sphira is the period between Passover and Shavuot with some of its own distinct customs, like no shave May. That wasn't that funny. Let's turn back to page 5. So we conclude Kabbalat Shabbat in the middle of the page, the words of Shalom Aleichem tomorrow morning. Services for Shabbat, 9:30 a.m., including the bar mitzvah of Isaac Dollar.
Shalom Aleichem Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Ay, ay, ay,